Hi there, delighted to have you with us as always. So, for today's topic, I'm going to talk about why I believe freelancing is a great gateway towards entrepreneurship. I'm going to share some of my real experience, add some anecdotes to this, and at the end, I'm going to wrap it up with some actionable steps you can take to start your freelancing career towards entrepreneurship, as I say. So, in terms of a bit of background for myself as well, so I've been involved and started many businesses and enterprises with other people, by myself, and at different stages of my career and experience. And in the early days, I had bundles of ambition, which hopefully I've still managed to maintain some of that, a real risk taking mindset. And a desire to go out there and change things and make things happen, which I think a lot of those things are good and actually have helped me throughout my career, but also on the other side, potentially have made things more difficult than they probably needed to have been. So I'll explain why I mean that. So there's lots of young people today, which is fantastic, who want to be entrepreneurs, want to work for themselves and make a difference, which I think is great. And that was how I was early stages of my career as well. But I think some of the challenges of that is obviously without the experience. And I know that's a frustrating thing sometimes for particularly young people to hear. It is difficult to get the traction you need to succeed and then go and get the momentum so you can actually make that difference. Fundamental reason why you may have decided to go down that route. So I started various businesses with no experience and I just launched them. I just went out into the market and said, this is what we're doing, invested into marketing and sales or whatever it might be. And quite frankly struggled and fell flat on my face a few times and really struggled to get that traction that you need to start to build the business. I had no idea what I was doing. As I say, you've got marketing, sales, you've got management, recruitment, you've got accounting, you've got all the HR, you've got all these different things you have to be able to manage and handle and organize as an entrepreneur, particularly when you're starting out and maybe you don't have bundles of financing and you're kind of trying to get your way through and do the best that you can. Going straight into entrepreneurship, i.e. starting like a business and an organization, a startup, can be difficult. Of course, it can be done, and there's lots of success stories. There's lots of not so successful stories to learn from as well, which hopefully I can share some today. But that is sort of underpinning of what I'm going to explain in this video. So the next thing is, why is freelancing the gateway to entrepreneurship? Okay, so freelancing for me is such a great way to begin your entrepreneurial career, particularly if you do want to expand and grow a business, have a startup and that type of thing, maybe have employees, whatever it might be. Now, the reason for that is that you get a kind of like little microcosm of all these different elements you need to run a business whilst being a freelancer. So as I said earlier, marketing, sales, account management, time management, accounting. Now, you may not have hiring and recruitment in the traditional sense of employing people, but you may collaborate with or bring in other freelancers to work on projects. So there is a kind of project management side of it. There is a recruitment and hiring process going through vetting the type of people you're going to work with and collaborate with on projects. So you get in a kind of small way all these little elements. And actually, it's a kind of a very safe way. You can't fail too much as a freelancer, because if you do it correctly, you won't invest massive amount up front in terms of your website and your branding and all these different things, an office. You don't need those things in this day and age. So you can start with a very small investment to get into your freelancing career, and that's when you'll then start to experience those things. And you cannot not experience those things, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, you have to go and sell your services to get business. You have to do marketing to be able to bring in some of those opportunities that you can then sell to. You have to do account management because you're the person dealing with the client. You have to do accounting and finance because you're the one invoicing and billing the clients. You have to understand contracts because you're going to be sending out contracts to clients. Now, of course, you might outsource some of this stuff, but particularly the early stages, as I said earlier, you don't want to be spending too much money. You want to be really trying to focusing on the income side of things at the start of being a freelancer before you start to, because it's easy to spend money, really easy to spend money when you're starting out. Lots of people want it, but you want to focus on that income side of things. So going back to the kind of topic here about the why it's a good gateway, is that very clearly you gain this really good understanding of all those different elements of working for yourself. And what you can do then is you can maybe establish the two or three that actually you're good at, you enjoy, and you feel that you can maybe continue to do if you expand your business. And what you'll also find are a few areas, let's use accounting as one, where you feel like you're not so good at it, you don't really enjoy it. So now If you expand your business, that's one of the areas you specifically need assistance on to grow the business. So you can start to get a real understanding before going deep in with a lot of money and making big mistakes of where you might need some support, or where you can actually feel that you can take the business to a certain level by running these things yourself. And that's really, really valuable information as well. Kind of the next thing is, before you get into entrepreneurship as well, is that you will have established a client base that you can then build upon. So maybe, for example, and this is the route I took, you freelance and then you can go into an agency business because you have a number of clients that you can expand. That's just one way of doing that. It may be that you have a number of freelance clients that you've learned something from those, that you can feel you can develop a product which can go to that target market. So it's slightly different. But what I'm getting at here is, you start off with some revenue. You start off with a client base, you start off with an audience, community, whatever it might be, through your freelance business that you can build upon. It's very, very difficult starting from nothing. And that's when you can start to bleed cash and really struggle to survive in those early days. But if you expand from freelance to the next stage, you already have income, you already have revenue, you already have clients, you already have an audience, perhaps you already have a reputation. So you can see how that's a much nicer step into the next tier of business, if you like, depending on whether that's what you want to do at all. Many people who I've talked about this before, who freelance, that can be a very successful career in its own right, and it doesn't have to be this step up. But for those of you who want to, I think freelancing is the perfect way. And literally, that is exactly the experience I've lived, which I guess is why I believe in it so much, is that I went out and tried to start these entrepreneurial startup businesses with investment and business partners, etc., with no background whatsoever, and they fell flat on their face. Then I went into freelancing, built up a really core client base, learned the skills firsthand that you need to run a business, and then developed a successful business off the back of that, or kind of using that as the foundation is probably a better way of putting it. So as I say, if you're looking to be an entrepreneur and start a business, you can definitely go a lot further wrong than stepping into freelancing first for a period of time. And that could be 6 months, to be honest. I think a year, 18 months will give you the real fundamentals you need. But I was around the 6-month mark when I decided to start to put plans in place, at least, to move forward. And those 6 months were absolutely invaluable to me and my future career. So I hope you found this one useful. As always, please do subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and any comments are welcome. I'll be happy to follow up on this video if you'd like me to expand further.